Boyd Malvo spent most of his formative years here, in this remote, nearly inaccessible village called Endeavor, high in the Jamaican mountains. His mother had left him at age 9 for a job on another island, so he was raised by his mother's sister, Jean Lawrence, a strict disciplinarian.
Give me a good picture of who he was and who he as a child.
If he was a child and nephew would disobedient and not listen and break rule and regulation, I would never sit in this chair and talk to you. I would never.
Lee Malvo attended this school in Brownstown, Jamaica. He was not just a good student, he was a gifted one. Before long, however, his mother entered his life once again with a new destination in mind, the faraway island of Antigua, part of what Carmita Alvarez Lindo says was a lifelong pattern of abuse, abandonment, and reconciliation.
She said she had someplace for him, that she had a business for him. The business happened to be an ice box that she was selling drinks and fruits out of. And the place that she had happened to be a shack. He was there, went up in July, and by January of the following year, she left. She left him in the shack.
By himself?
By himself.
At 14 years old?
At 14 years old.
I met Una James in Jamaica. At first, she said she wanted to issue a statement of sympathy for sniper victims, but she never did. Then she refused to be photographed or discuss her relationship with her son, Lee. The one thing we do know is that after Una James abandoned Lee in Antigua, he met the man who would convince him and train him to become a killer, John Allen Muhammad.
You thought he'd kill you?
No, I knew. I saw the look in his eye.
Mildred Muhammad is talking for the first time on network television about her ex-husband, a former Army combat engineer. Over the years, she says, John Muhammad grew increasingly distant and demanding, and one day snatched her 3 children from their Tacoma, Washington home and fled to Antigua without warning in the middle of the night.
He was supposed to bring them back from shopping at Kmart. My son later told me that they got on a plane that night and went to Antigua. And that was the last time I saw my children for 18 months.
John Muhammad Jr. has never before spoken publicly about his father or about the time he and his 2 sisters lived on Antigua with Lee Boyd Malvo.
Was he part of the family? Did your father treat him like he was a son or a brother to you?
My dad was real big on family. And so, like, when he would leave, he would tell me or Lee that to watch out for the girls because we was always with different people, so we wasn't sure who we could trust or get close to.
John Muhammad and Lee Malvo formed a bond here at the home of Jerome and Leonie Martin. But even then, there was a lie.
Lee used to come around, play with our kids, and then one day he left from his an American accent and used the Jamaican accent where my wife said, wait, you're not an American, you're Jamaican, right? Then he says his mother is Jamaican and they think so. My wife said, I don't think you're John's son because you have a Jamaican accent.
What the Martins didn't know, what no one knew, was that John Allen Muhammad was by now in the business of making and selling fraudulent passports. One of his customers, Una James, Lee Malvo's mother, who used one to get into the United States.
My dad had a fake passport business to get into America. He would have fake birth certificates. And he helped her to come to the States, but he couldn't get Lee in as soon as he got his mom in, so Lee just stayed with us.
Muhammad often had to leave his kids. And who took charge of his 3 young children then?
Immediately, Lee dropped out of school. And his role now was to be big brother, to save these children. So that's really when the relationship really even became tighter.
When you started interviewing Lee, how did he describe John Muhammad?
My dad. This was my dad.
A father figure who would soon gather his children and flee Antigua, leaving Lee Malvo behind with deadly lessons to be learned from an ancient manual of war.
Muhammad would instruct him what sections that he should read. He should say, "This is who I am. This is what I will become." And that's how he went to sleep every single night.
Just ahead, John Allen Muhammad turns his surrogate son into a killing machine.